Welcome to my long overdue makeup inventory and declutter eyeshadow edition. We're finally getting around to the eyeshadows. Now, for those of you who have been following this series, you will probably have noticed that I titled this my 2025 declutter and inventory, but this is actually the tail end of my 2024 year-end inventory and declutter. It's just so well past the end of the year at this point. To avoid confusing anybody about how old this video is, I went ahead and titled it my 2025 makeup inventory and declutter. In any case, we have saved the best for last, at least in my opinion. We are finally doing the eyeshadows, and right now we're going to look at my collection of singles, also including my liquid eyeshadows and my cream eyeshadows. So let's get started. The first thing I want to go through here are these two magnetic palettes that I have. I have this one from Sephora, this one from, I honestly don't know where this is from. This is where I keep all of my Makeup Geek singles. I was really not on the Makeup Geek train while it was rolling in full force. I know that it was very popular there for a while, but at the time I didn't have an enormous beauty budget and my focus was on other products other than eyeshadow. So I only ended up picking up these eyeshadows when Makeup Geek was closing its doors, and these were on sale for, I don't know, a couple of dollars a piece. I really like these shadows. I have to admit I am not amazing at making use of them. I really do tend to reach for my palettes a lot more than I do singles, and which you can tell because these are very lightly used, obviously. I think I'm going to go ahead and try to work some of these into some projects in the coming year. These are a little underutilized in my collection, but I'm not quite ready to let them go. Now this one here from Sephora, this is where I am keeping a whole bunch of singles that I have depotted, mostly from my my Stone Cold Fox Colourpop palette, and I have been keeping them in here. I really don't reach for these a ton either, but I have continued to hang on to them simply because I do have a number of other Colourpop palettes that I keep meaning to tinker with my Colourpop palettes and kind of tweak a few of these palettes to make them a little bit more suited to my preferences and the way I prefer to do my makeup. I just have not yet got around to it. So I'm going to go ahead and hang on to them for that purpose. The only ones that I know that I am going to get rid of are these two pressed glitters. I don't see a situation in which these are the really, really gritty pressed glitters that Colourpop has done in the past, and they still do occasionally do these. They are not my favorites. I don't see myself making use of these glitters, so I'm going to go ahead and pass them on. As for the rest of them, I'm going to hold on to them for now, at least until I've had a chance to look at my other Colourpop palettes and make any switcheroos that I really want to make. I think another one that I probably will end up letting go of is this kind of sparkly frosty white. It's a matte white, but it has a bunch of silver shimmer throughout it. That is not the type of thing that I tend to reach for. Honestly, if I'm being practical, I'm going to go ahead and let that one go as well. So we are going to set that one aside, and I will go ahead and hang on to the rest of these for the time being. And these are the rest of my singles and my liquid and cream eyeshadows. I have this little Wet n Wild quad in here that I've had for freaking ages. I think this is probably something that's going to end up going into my makeup memories box, which is where I keep all of the makeup that I don't intend to put it on my face, but I don't really want to get rid of it either for sentimental reasons. But yeah, it shouldn't be in here. This should be with my palettes. We'll talk about that later when we're going through the actual palettes. So here are the single powders that I have. And I have these two pigments from MAC. So these little Wet n Wild singles here, these I purchased back when I was looking for some white and nude shadows to help me with blending and with highlighting. And actually these are really quite good shadows for those purposes. But I have found that I have enough shadows in the various palettes that I am dipping into on a regular basis that serve this particular purpose. I never find myself reaching for this one. In particular, this white one here, I was hoping this was a white matte. It kind of looked like a white matte, but once you swatch it, you see it's very, very much a satin. I have something similar in various other palettes. So yeah, I just don't find myself reaching for these little singles. So I'm going to go ahead and pass these ones on as well. This is one that I was using for that particular purpose. I think the reason why I set this one aside and picked up the Wet n Wild is because it had a lot of hard pan on it, but I did manage to scrape all of that off. This is a really, really nice, very opaque shadow that is kind of somewhere in between these two. But again, it's not something that I find myself reaching for. I'm just much more likely to open up another eyeshadow palette rather than open up a whole nother drawer and go hunting for something like this when I need it. So yeah, I think it's time to let this one go as well. Here are two shadows that these are the same shadow. They came in a little pack of 2 when I ordered them off of Amazon. This is the L'Oreal Infallible eyeshadow in the shade Amber Rush. This was a big deal way back in the day, and I owned one and then gave it away. And then when I went to go replace it eventually, the only place that I could pick it up was on Amazon. So I don't even know if L'Oreal makes this anymore, but it's one of my favorite one and done eyeshadows that I have ever used in my entire life. It's just this perfect peachy golden delightfulness. It's going to take me 3 million years to get through this one container of it. That first one that I decluttered, it wasn't because I didn't like it, but because I really wanted to share the joy of this particular product. And I had a friend that I thought this would really suit her, and so that's why I gave her my original one. I really, really do love this. I don't see myself ever getting through this, so I really ought to find somebody else to pass this one on to. So I think I'm going to hang on to this one, and we're going to pass this one on. This is another one of the L'Oreal Infallible, but this one is in the shade Iced Latte, and this one is also similarly beautiful. It is a little too light to be used as a one and done, at least on me. I picked this up more as an inner corner highlight, but again, like the Wet n Wild shadows that I showed you and the Bobbi Brown, when I'm going for a inner corner highlight, I'm much more likely to reach for something that's in a palette or whatever highlighter I have on hand at the moment, rather than digging this one out. This one, it's a beautiful, beautiful shadow. I'm just not getting any use out of it, so I think I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one as well. It's also a little bit redundant because I have this little single from the Natasha Denona Retro Glam palette. I think this was a freebie that I got with a Sephora order, and it broke a little bit in transit, so it's not in the best shape, but this one is significantly newer than this one. And it's not quite as smooth as the Iced Latte, but it does have this just really, really pretty sparkle that can be super, super nice if it's just dusted lightly as a topper over a shadow. So you can wear this pretty opaque, as I have it here, or you can wear as just a little bit of scattered light over an eye look that you already have going. So because this one is a little bit more versatile and it is significantly newer than the Iced Latte, I'm going to go ahead and hang on to this one and pass this one on. Next, I have a couple of Colourpop Super Shock shadows. This one is in the shade Frog, and this one is in the shade Corsage. This is so pretty. Oh my goodness. I was 100% prepared to declutter this one until I swatched it. What was I thinking swatching it? Look at that wet shine goodness. Yeah, I'm not ready. I can't look at that swatch and let this one go. I really haven't gotten the use out of it that I should have since it was in my color pan project last year, but I really need to prioritize that because that is, I mean, that is just, do you see that mirror-like shine? That is gorgeous. I really do like this formula. It does tend to dry out a little bit and get a little crumbly, but I definitely prefer this to their Jelly Much formula, which I will show you in a minute. I really do like this shadow here as well. It's not quite as unique in my collection, but still, gosh, that is just a gorgeous pop of color. These are the shadows that I had in mind alongside my Amber Rush single here. That's really what I was thinking of when I purchased my Natasha Denona Mini Eye Sculpt. I felt like this in combination with any one of these glorious little singles would be just divine and would give me kind of a way to use these a little bit more. So yeah, I'm going to focus. I'm going to go ahead and keep both of these because gosh, I can't tell me you can look at a swatch like that and say, yeah, we need to get rid of it. That's just so pretty. I definitely need to be a little bit more deliberate about getting some more use out of these. I have pan on this one. I have not yet hit pan on Corsage, but we will work towards that goal this year. Now this little 5-gram jar here is a little Franken that I created out of 2 shades in my Tarte Pro To Go palette that I worked on as my Pan That palette last year. I found that I really enjoyed these 2 shades. There's a shimmery purple and a shimmery bronze, and the 2 of them together made a really lovely one and done. Super pretty. I'm gonna go ahead and hang on to this one as well. There's hardly any actual product in the bottom of this one, but and now there is even less. I just dumped about half of what was in here on my mat here. Oh, good times, good times. Well done, Rebecca. Well, that's one way to use up an eyeshadow, right? I'm gonna go ahead and hang on to this one, and I will probably continue to refill this with that Franken as I work through what's left in that Tarte Pro To Go palette. Next, I have these 2 little pigments. These are the little mini-sized pigments. These are the only MAC pigments that I haven't moved permanently over to my nail art kit because I'm more interested in using them on my eyes than I would be on my nails. Although this one would be really pretty on the nails as well. I'm gonna go ahead and keep it in my makeup collection for now. So this is the classic MAC Blue Brown, and you use so little of this pigment every time you use it. Oh my goodness. What is wrong with you, Rebecca? Look, I just dumped a whole bunch out and it's still full. Oh my gosh. I've been so clumsy lately. I don't know what's going on with me. Let's close that up before this gets any worse. This is such a pretty pigment. It is not super unique. It is a duochrome, but as far as duochromes go, it is one of the more common ones. It's got that red brown base with that green overtone. So I think this pigment in particular is one that I've been hanging on to more for the memories than for its utility in my makeup collection. I was just so enamored with this particular MAC pigment back in like the early aughts, and I don't use it a ton as an actual makeup product, but I have a difficult time letting go of it just because of the memories that I have attached to this. This is not my original container of this pigment from the early aughts. I have acquired this much more recently. I think when I picked it up, I did it more for the nostalgia than anything else, and I also think that's why I've continued to hang on to it. I think I'm going to go ahead and take this and put it into my makeup memories box as well, because I don't see myself getting a ton of use out of this particular pigment in the future. But again, it's something I have a lot of sentimentality attached to, and I don't want to let go of it altogether. This one is actually a much more recent purchase, and I don't know why. It was a bit of an impulse buy. It's such a pretty color. I actually would absolutely adore this on my nails. This one's a lot newer and something that I'm much more likely to work into my makeup looks that I prefer to do on myself now. So I'm going to go ahead and hang on to this one for now. And then I have these 2 little duos from Dose of Colors. This one is in the shade Shell, and this one is in Sticks and Stones. Shell is one that I currently have in my deck of panning, and I have been using this one and remembering why I love it so much. It is such a pretty, you've got a little bit of a cream eyeshadow here on the top, which is a beautiful cream shadow. It is much more emollient than some of my other cream shadows, so I imagine if you're somebody that experiences a lot of creasing, this might be problematic for you, but that has not been an issue for me. I don't actually think that I don't think these are available any longer. It's got this beautiful glittery loose pigment on the bottom. The camera is not going to do it justice. Yeah, the camera's just not picking up how beautiful this is. This is a very easy date night type of eye look. So I like to lay down the creamy base first and then just tap this gorgeous glittery pigment over top. I better close it because I'm going to drop it. This one is currently in my deck of panning. I really love it. I have no intentions of letting it go. This is the shade Sticks and Stones. So it has a more taupey and less rosy cream shadow. Gosh, that's so pretty. Oh my goodness. That is just, I don't know what it is about that kind of neutral taupe shimmer, but I'm in love. And to be perfectly honest, I think I've hung on to this one in particular because of this cream shadow. As I think I prefer the loose glitter in this one, or the loose pigment in Shell. This one is a much darker pigment, but also incredibly gorgeous. You know what I ought to do? You know, I don't know why it has never occurred to me to do this, because this is my favorite glitter and this is my favorite cream. So we've got my favorite cream paired with my favorite glitter. Oh my gosh. Why have I never thought of doing that before? I mean, listen, I really enjoy this and I really enjoy this, but that to me, that is just heaven right there is what that is. All right, I'm totally doing that. So as soon as I'm done with my deck of panning and I've gone ahead and updated it, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to do the switcheroo here, and this darker loose pigment that I get significantly less use out of, just because the way I prefer to do my makeup, I don't have a ton of use for a darker shimmer. If I'm going for a darker color, I'm usually trying to reach for a matte, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to keep this lighter shimmer and this taupier cream product here, and then I'm just going to get rid of the other one. That's what I'm going to do. Oh my gosh. Why have I never thought of that before? Because this is just, I don't know, there's something about this that just screams old Hollywood to me, and it's just delightful. I love that. I love that. So yeah, one of these we will be decluttering once my deck of panning project has been updated. Okay. I actually have two of these Jelly Much eyeshadows, but I have had zero luck finding the other one. The other one is in the shade Big Ego, and this is in the shade Bouquet. Oh my gosh, I have so much glitter on my hands. I gotta tell you, I've enjoyed this one. I had her in a couple of projects last year. I got quite a lot of use out of her. I think I've already rehydrated this one once or twice, and it's just, as pretty as it is, I find this formula to be a little fussy. It can be a little bit clumpy if it's not the freshest of the fresh, which you can tell it is not. Do you see how the pigment is kind of, the formula is kind of gathering together? It's because it needs to be rehydrated again, and I just don't know if I can be bothered with this formula to rehydrate it again. The other one is kind of a cloudy gold silver azure shade, which I find a lot more interesting and unique in my collection than this one. And I also don't think it's quite as dried out as this one is. So I'm going to go ahead and declutter this one. This is Bouquet. I'm going to go ahead and declutter Bouquet, and I'm going to hang on to Big Ego for now while the formula is still workable. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and declutter this one. Another one that I think I can go ahead and declutter is this. This is the Maybelline Color Tattoo Eye Chrome. I don't think Maybelline makes these anymore. I think they've been discontinued because the last time I looked, they were only available on Amazon, and that's usually a good indicator that the brand is no longer making them. However, that is a crying shame because this is a fabulous product. It is one of the best liquid eyeshadows that I have ever used. It's this gorgeous olivey green color. Let's see what, it's khaki cool. I liked to use this as an eye base for a complementary eyeshadow look. And this formula sets down and does not budge. It is a really, really beautiful formula. My only problem is that this is significantly too old for me to continue putting it on my eyes. It really is. It's time for this one to be retired. I enjoyed it while it was in my collection. Now for this, I'm just going to get this out of the way here, okay? These are, I have these little minis of, well, let's talk about all of the Huda Beauty Matte Metal ones because I am not getting rid of any of these. I love love this formula. And I am really, Huda is really into kind of the purpley pink and gold situation. And honestly, I don't blame her because I also love those types of colors. These are gorgeous. I remember when this first came out, there were a lot of people who tried these on and found that they were very patchy. The only one that I have found that I experienced any patchiness with is this shade here, which is Silk Bomber. So this is kind of the deeper purple. I don't reach for this one quite as much, but I get what people were saying when they were saying that it was going on a little bit patchy. The way that I prefer to use these liquid eyeshadows isn't to create a whole look with them, but generally speaking, what I'll do is I'll pick one of these as a complementary base for other powder eyeshadows that I then put on top. I find that by using a complementary base like that rather than one that's more of a skin tone color, I feel like you can get more of a sense of depth in your eyeshadow looks and a little bit more color variation that can be really, really visually interesting. Then what I like to do is use these metallic liquids on the inside corner or in the center of the lid just to add a little bit of shine once I'm done with the look as a whole. So these ones dry down and set, and once they set, they are bulletproof. I am wearing this one today. This little mini here is in my 50 Shades of Brown project pan. I'm wearing it under a pretty intense smoky brown look, and I have had this eye look on for hours. And I also took like a 2-hour nap in the middle of the day. And my eyeshadow looks like I just put it on. I mean, it looks flawless. And it's because these as an eye base, they set down and do not budge. I love them all. Obviously, these are liquid shadows. I will eventually need to part with them, but the time is not yet. A couple of others that I don't think I'm yet ready to part with are my Stila. Let's see, my Stila, this is a Glitter and Glow, and this is a Shimmer and Glow. So the Glitter and Glow is in Kit and Karma. This is currently in my Throwback 30. It's just one of the prettiest and most sophisticated glitter shadow formulas that I have ever used. If you don't like glitter because of the fallout, but you still like the look of glitter, a Glitter and Glow might be the way for you to go, because these are suspended in a gel cream base that really traps that glitter in and sets it without obscuring the shine. I mean, you see that? It's a really good solution for those of you who would like to wear glitter but don't want to deal with the mess. It is still glitter, so when you take it off at the end of the night, it will probably be a little bit messy. But as long as you're wearing it, it really does stay put quite well. This is the Shimmer and Glow in the shade Cloud, which is one of my favorite shades. I feel like there's so much nuance in this shade. It's this purpley, pinky, champagne-y. I don't even know how to describe that color, but I love it. I love it. It is a very nuanced and complex shade, and it is pretty unique in my collection as well. So I really love this one. I'm keeping both of these. This one, however, I do think I can let this one go. I picked this up on a whim, not really considering how well it would fit into the way I like to do my makeup. So this is a little duo of these Shimmer and Glows, except for this one. This is in Blackout, and it is actually a matte, and I really don't tend to use this a whole lot. I very, very rarely feel the need to reach for a black eye base, although I do have a lot more duochromes in my collection right now than I did when I first picked this up, and I do think a black base can really transform a duochrome. So I don't know. I don't know if I should hang on to it though. This is a Glitter and Glow, and it is just, oh my gosh, do you see that? The applicator just snapped on me. Well, I guess that's that. It is a black base with a bunch of multicolored, well, holographic shimmer, really. Super pretty, but it's just not something that I really reach for. I'm tempted to keep the Blackout, but I don't know. I don't see myself dramatically changing the way that I do my eyeshadow. Yeah, that's just not something that I'm really reaching for. a ton. And if it is, to be honest, I have any number of beautiful black pencil liners that I can use just as well as a base. So I think I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the two of these. I think honestly, I think it was the magnetic nature of the packaging that really won me over on this one, which is a silly reason to be buying makeup. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let these ones go. So that is all of my liquid, cream, and single eyeshadows that I'm hanging on to. I'm hanging on to most of my powder singles. I'm hanging on to a fair number of my single creams. So these are the ones that we're decluttering. We're decluttering 14 different shadows here. And then we're gonna go ahead and be keeping these ones. And I don't know if I'm gonna count these in my final tally simply because I have pulled them out of my Stone Cold Fox palette, but I still have my Stone Cold Fox palette. So I think I'm just gonna consider these ones as part of that palette, but we will count these. $27, okay. Including all of my Makeup Geek singles here, I am hanging on to 27 products. So we're getting rid of 14 and we're hanging on to 27. That's still quite a lot. Given the fact that I don't reach for my singles and my liquid shadows as often as I do my palettes, this really should be a smaller number, but this is all I can bear to part with at the moment. And that is it for my single shadows. Next time we're gonna go ahead and dig into my eyeshadow palettes. I'm probably gonna have to split that one up into 2 separate videos because that is absolutely my largest category by far. So yeah, we're gonna need to split that one up for sure. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you in the next one.